I first must thank Mr. Figueroa for his response, indicating that my concerns are unfounded, and I certainly appreciate his statement. But I want to remind Mr. Figueroa that my call is to save lives, not to see them destroyed, and anything that threatens it must be challenged until proved safe. I raise the issues from the assumption that both government and myself and others who in my field think like me are all concerned about saving lives and the best welfare of the people. It is not an attempt to be adversarial. It is an attempt to ensure the best welfare of the people. And the only way we can be sure of that is to examine the issues from every angle and ensure that it balances equal. My job is to raise the questions and concerns. His job in this particular case is to provide answers and prove your case. Hiding from it or not wanting to questions to be asked or giving real answers itself is very suspect. And therefore, this whole situation with aspects of COVID have been one of no one is answering the real questions and seemingly not to prepare to open up for clear discussion in a democracy and allow for contending voices to be able to speak. Any witness that cannot be cross-examined raises serious questions, and if not allowed to be examined, then there is a serious issue of justice that arises. We are still living in a democracy, and in our democracy, freedom of speech is a right. In our democracy, truth is what must be sought to establish justice. And issues, therefore, that affect the lives and the welfare of people must be aired and must be dealt with in a manner that appears that justice is done, that it is fair, and all decisions made by leaders that affect the people must prove to be in the best interest of the people and the people only, not in the best interest of the leaders, and more so, not in the best interest of any other forces external, a phrase with which Mr. Figueroa is very familiar. So no external forces must be the beneficiaries or the ones who dictate what is in the best interest of our people. They can contribute their suggestions, reasonable. But we have to be sure that every decision made is in the best interest of our people. So my call is to save lives, not see them destroyed. And again, anything that threatens must be challenged. And so, Mr. Figueroa, you have made this statement that my concerns are unfounded. But the question has not been answered. I ask the question, not if it is happening, other people are doing it. I'm asking the question, what is in the vaccine? What are the components in the vaccine that you are giving to our children at this time? And what are the likely long-term effects? Long-term effects is not a couple of months, not when it comes to vaccines, and no one understands that as effectively as you and those who are in the science. So I'm asking, in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, do we know? And the science must be able to tell us. If the science cannot tell us, then the science is experimenting with us and tell us that. And in recent times, we have begun to see some honesty to say that it is an experimental phase. That was never said in the beginning. We were all told that the vaccine would solve the problems and everything would be returned to normal. That was stated by the leadership of our own country. And certainly what they were told by the same system who are now telling us and agreeing that it is experimental. So this begs for the serious questions to be answered. Not simply to take away your bat and leave alone. The question must be answered. And this is about our children. As I have stated, what we can do as adults by making our choices, but when it comes to our children, this cannot be permitted. We must not experiment with the children. And so therefore we are going to stand for the issue of our children. And further, your same evidence is proving. Don't give us this argument about the asymptomatic and so they maybe can carry it. That argument is being shifted back and forth by different places. Have told us children are not carriers. You can't get. Then it keeps changing. Where is the truth? Let us hear not only your voice, Figaro, not only the voice of the WHO doctors, but let's hear from other scientists. Why are we not allowing other scientists to speak? Why do we kill any contrary voice? That makes everything suspect. And that is why confidence is not had in simply accepting what is being said. Many are afraid to raise the issue. As a man of God, I am duty bound by my faith in a living God to speak, because we are here to save life, and I represent the God who is the giver of life. And anything that it robs of life in any way, then therefore we have to resist it, because God gives life. So all we are asking are questions, and for reasonable, rational, open and honest discussion and dialogue to take place. That is all that we are asking for. Is that too much to ask? Let us therefore just pause and look at it, because we are talking about lives, a people's future and their destiny. So we must raise the issues before it's too late, because the problems cannot be solved after. Can answer the question, if this, can it be reversed? What else can be done to reverse it if it is found that this has effects that are not good? Can we reverse it? If so, by what means? Or is it then just too late, and so we go on another experiment? Come on, Dr. Figaro. All we're asking is for objectivity and not attitude of defense. We are all in it together. It is all of our future and the future of our children. And all we seek is what is best for them, for all of us. So this is the basis of the appeal. It's not trying to play a fly in the ointment. I'm simply, as a servant of the living God and a lover of the people, it is my responsibility, and so it ought to be for every leader of nations. It is why we lead. If not, we ought not to be in leadership if there is any other agenda or reasoning for our leadership. Then it is questionable. So what we want is truth. What we want is openness. What we want is honesty. So when these questions are asked, they ought not to be defensive. They ought to be, oh yes, I understand the question. Here is this. This is the situation. And let's look at it objectively. Not look as if we are autocratic. That's the philosophy of some, but that's not the philosophy of free societies. And so therefore, we cannot sit by and permit it. We are simply asking questions, seeking answers to engage dialogue in the best interests of a nation and our people. Let's open it for dialogue and give us some answers. The extension of this is, and this is part of my own argument, therefore, The Moderna and the Pfizer, if it is mRNA, then it does have questions. There are other vaccines. Why are we not looking at them? Cuba, our next door neighbor, have some vaccines that its composition is different. We also want to know what is in that. But if it is along the line of what's been tried and proven, then therefore that would be the preferred position when there is uncertainty as to Moderna and Pfizer. Why are we not using it? Tell us why not. Because you do have no money? Then tell us that. And let us see if we can find the money. Because the welfare of our children takes priority, not ease and comfort and gifts from those who seek only our entrapment. These are the arguments. These are the questions being raised, Mr. Figueroa. And all we're asking is to help us to better understand it, to accept it, to go forward. It is very interesting to note, I just discovered in the news this morning, that the British government has decided not to inoculate those children and teenagers against COVID-19 until more safety data on the vaccines become available. The decision to hold off giving shots to most people under age 18 was based on the recommendation of an expert advisory panel. The Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization said the health benefits of universal vaccination don't outweigh the risk for most young people who typically suffer only mild symptoms of the virus. Until more safety data is available and has been evaluated, a precautionary approach is preferred, the JCVI said in a statement. That's precisely the point I am making. If we go ahead, we are in experimental mode. Do not experiment with our youth, our children. Thank you.